So, you want to buy a house? Pick a cute little neighborhood, check out the schools, get a loan. Easy, right? Ha, if only. Besties, today we are spilling some scalding hot tea on how housing in America became one of the biggest civil rights battles, featuring redlining, blockbusting, white flight, and the law that tried to fix it all, the Fair Housing Act of 1968. Buckle up, because history is about to get messy. Okay, first up, restrictive covenants. Picture this. You're buying a house and the deed literally says you can't sell this home to insert non-white group here. And guess what? This wasn't just a southern thing. Places like Chicago, LA, and New York have them too. These rules kept neighborhoods segregated on purpose. Then we get to redlining, where banks, lenders, and even the federal government decided who could buy homes by literally drawing red lines around neighborhoods deemed risky, aka non-white communities. That meant no loans, no mortgages, no investment. Meanwhile, white families were getting government-backed loans with low interest rates through the GI Bill, which, by the way, black veterans were often denied. So, after World War II, we had a housing explosion. White families were out here snatching up houses in the suburbs thanks to the GI Bill loans and FHA mortgages. Meanwhile, many black and Latino families were left behind because of, you guessed it, racist lending practices. And let's talk about the interstate highway system, which on the surface sounds great. Who doesn't love a good road trip? But besties, these highways bulldoze through black and immigrant neighborhoods, forcing thousands of families out, and poof, suddenly we've got urban ghettos forming because people were literally trapped in underfunded areas with no investment. And who was moving into the shiny new suburbs? The white families who had access to government-backed loans. This leads us to blockbusting, one of the most shameless real estate scams in history. Realtors would go into white neighborhoods and whisper, "Hey, black families are moving in. Your property values are about to plummet. Sell now before it's too late." And just like that, white homeowners panicked and sold their houses for cheap. Where did they go? The suburbs, honey. This led to white flight, where white families left cities practically overnight, and as they left, so did businesses, jobs, and tax dollars, leaving many urban areas struggling with fewer resources, underfunded schools, and rising crime. And this, besties, is how certain neighborhoods got their reputation of being the inner city. Now, housing discrimination wasn't just an economic issue, it was a civil rights issue, and when people are denied basic rights for too long, they fight back. Case in point, the Watts Riot of 1965. This was 6 days of unrest in Los Angeles after a routine traffic stop escalated into police violence, something that hit a boiling point because of years of racial discrimination, lack of jobs, and unfair housing policies. The message? We are done being ignored. But did anything change? Not really. Fast forward to April 4th, 1968. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, and y'all, the country exploded. Over 100 cities erupted into riots, protests, and clashes with police. The devastation was so intense that Lyndon B. Johnson used this moment to finally push the Fair Housing Act through Congress. And just like that, well, after decades of fighting, the Fair Housing Act was signed into law. It made it illegal to discriminate in selling, renting, or financing homes based on race, color, religion, or national origin. Later, it was expanded to include gender, disabilities, and families with kids. This was huge because for the first time there was a legal mechanism to fight housing discrimination. But let's be real, just because something is illegal doesn't mean people stop doing it. They just get sneakier. Okay, so if neighborhoods were still segregated because of housing practices, then so were the schools. The solution? Busing. Courts ordered cities to take kids from black and Latino neighborhoods to better funded white schools and vice versa. The goal? Integration. The reaction? Whew! Some white families were furious. They didn't want their kids bussed into urban schools, and many just moved again. Yep, another wave of white flight. Some black families were also frustrated. Why should their kids have to take long bus rides just to get a decent education? The debate over busing became one of the biggest political battles of the 70s and 80s, and in many cities, it was phased out due to backlash. So, did the Fair Housing Act make discrimination go poof and disappear? No. People just got more creative. Banks continued rejecting loans in minority communities. Hello, modern redlining. Realtors steered family into certain neighborhoods, and cities used zoning laws to keep certain areas segregated. Some believe we need more enforcement and stronger policies to ensure equal housing today. Others argue that too much government intervention interferes with private markets. One thing's for sure, the fight isn't over. Besties, here's the real tea. Where you live determines your future. Your schools, job, healthcare, and financial stability, all of it is tied to housing. The effects of past discrimination still exist today, and the conversation around fair housing is far from over. So, what do you think? Should we strengthen housing laws, scale back government involvement? Does busing still have a place in education? Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and don't let anyone redline your dreams. Bye.